can't believe I'm actually doing this. For the next 4 weeks, I will be working on my dress for the 2024 Met Gala, so I can sit at home and watch it on my couch. Why? If you have watched my previous videos, you will already know that I have made the base layers beforehand. These include a corset, set of combinations, a petticoat, and then some padding for shape building as well. We've done all of that prep work. We are now spending the next 4 weeks cramming like crazy to try and finish this overly ambitious and way too detailed dress. Is that knocking on my door? This year's theme for the Met Gala is Sleeping Beauties. The exhibit spans like 400 years of fashion and will feature 50 historically significant pieces that are now far too fragile to ever be worn again, so they are purely just being preserved. Some of them are even getting too fragile to actually be put on display anymore, so they're actually working on some stuff, some 3D projections of them and stuff like that, which is really cool. I don't know if that's going to be in this exhibit, but it's a cool thing to think about for future exhibits just across the world when things get too fragile to be put on display anymore. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Point being, this year's theme is really cool. And I feel like we haven't had one of those for a while. The dress code for it is a garden in time, which wasn't announced until a month or 2 ago. So I did my dress design based on the exhibit, which was announced back in September. Luckily, I do actually think my design also fits the dress code as well, so score. As mentioned in my previous videos, my design and interpretation of the theme is very, very, very heavily inspired by Edwardian fashion, and I really want to emphasize the word inspired, because we are not going for historical accuracy here. Quick run through of the design. The skirt is going to be a very full, long, flowy kind of skirt. The bottom of the skirt will fade more into this layer of lace, which will represent the decaying of garments over time. The bodice is relatively fitted and has a lot of decoration going on. The shape of it, again, a lot of influence from that 1900 kind of fashion. And I'm also hoping to do some ribbon embroidery on the skirt as well, as that is one, a technique I've wanted to give a go for a good long while, and two, a very common technique of the time. Today we are going to begin by assembling the actual base of the dress. So I'm going to start by cutting out my skirt fabric, which is why we're downstairs, so I've got all the floor space. For those of you who have watched my previous video, you'll remember that I made a ginormous skirt pattern when I was doing my petticoat, because I used that as a mock-up for the skirt to get the right shape. There were a few things I wanted to change about it, so I'll be implementing those adjustments today. And now that I am saying this, I am realizing I have not cleaned the floor, so it is in fact covered in dust. Damn it. I'll be right back. Gonna move the camera and we're gonna start laying things out. I wanted to add an extra length for the skirt because it didn't quite feel long enough. See, this is the point where I regret my methods and I wish I just bought a pattern. Why do I do this? I know I ordered loads, but you know, you just get that paranoia that there just won't be enough anyway. The skirt panel is too big to cut it on the grain. I could technically do it on the cross grain, but I don't know if that would be a mistake. So I don't know what to do. I should paint my ceiling Sistine Chapel, just like art. So at least when I'm lying on the floor having a complete crisis, I get to look at pretty pictures. Cut this panel in half. So there are 2 more panels in the entire dress. I don't want to, but I can't see any other way around it. That's so much work. Fine. Extra unnecessary stuff I didn't know I had to do. one and all. Yesterday we didn't really get very far. I pretty much left it with having just finished cutting out all of the skirt panels, but I didn't actually start assembling anything yet. The primary reason being was that I injured myself and it really hurt. And I was hoping it would feel a bit more healed today, but it does not. I've already gone through 3 plasters and I can't take them off because fibers keep getting caught in them, which is really fun. Today we're going to jump in and start stitching the skirt panels together and getting it all assembled, and then gonna put it onto the mannequin with all of the petticoat and padding and everything underneath so that I can then cut it to the exact shape that I want it. I started the day by pinning the front panels together and then running them through the sewing machine. I did, however, run into some, let's say, technical difficulties. But I tried my best to persevere. It did not work.
Thread just... Why isn't it the easy part? Okay, I wanted to cry, but I didn't, and I feel like I should get points for that. I've got some of the machine needles, and I'm going to use the absolute thinnest, tiniest one that I have, because that is literally all I can think to do. So I'm a little bit stressed. I don't want to jinx it for the rest of the panels, but that actually works. Oh my god, thank you.
After much stress and slight fabric damage, the front panels were finally assembled. I then repeated the process of pinning and sewing for the side and back panels for the rest of the morning. I wish I could say without trouble.
Why?
I'm on the last 2 panels at the back, and I pinned them on the wrong way around. And I stitched the first one completely on before I realised that fact, so I need to unpick that and then pin them on both the right way around. This project is cursed.
Unpicking took longer than I would have liked, but I got the rest of the panels on and put her on the mannequin, mainly so I could feel like I'd made more progress than I actually had. I have decided to put the skirt to the side for a moment because I want to make some progress on the bodice. I am going to be draping the main part of the bodice, but I want something to drape onto, which is basically my complicated way of saying I'm going to make a lining first. I've decided to use my trusty old Snow White pattern from Nikita Cosplay. I couldn't actually find the back panel, so I'm using the back panel from my 50s Wanda dress, but it's the same size, so I'm sure it'll work and be fine. As this is going on top of the corset and the padding, it won't be the same size as this, so I'm just going to manually add in some extra space when I actually draw and cut out the fabric. Speaking of fabric, as per usual, I didn't fully plan this project, so I didn't put any thought into what the lining fabric was going to be. I would have liked something a bit thicker to have more structure, but I've looked through all my stash and everything that is thicker and more structured I've already reserved for another project. So we're going with the scrap bedsheet, which is obviously really thin. I will be putting some boning into it anyway, and then it's going on top of a boned corset, so I'm sure it will be fine. Did that sound confident because I didn't feel it? Will I regret this? Probably. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do 2 layers of this for lining, so that thickens up a bit. That is my solution. Cutting out fabric, let's do it. Because I'm doubling up the layers, I do need to cut out everything twice. I mean, sure, I could have folded the fabric so we had 4 layers, but, well, we're here now. I feel like garbage. I've been ill for a couple of days, but storming back onto it. This is the bodice. Obviously it looks terrible now. It's just a very rough outline. Definitely not a historically accurate foundation. I didn't buy a pattern, so we're more just going for the aesthetic on this one. I'm going to draw out the rough shape I actually want this bodice to be, because this is just the baseline. It's mainly the back that's going to change shape, to be honest. I think the front isn't far off. Got a rough line coming here that I'm going to cut away, and then the end result will technically be a bit thinner and lower than that, because I'll be like hemming it in so there's no raw edges. So I'm going to do some trimming down and some stitching on that. I'm then gonna adding the boning to this. This will also be a structured bodice. Once it's all like a more completed base, we're then gonna whack it back onto the mannequin and start draping the actual fashion layer fabric on top. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't entirely know what I'm doing for that part. The basic plan for the bodice is to wing it, so. I trimmed down the bodice to get a much nicer Edwardian shape. I then cut notches into the curves so the lining would sit nicer. Despite initial reluctance, I even ironed my seams before stitching in the boning channels. Unfortunately, this is where the project curse once again manifested. The week I have had. Oh my lord, let me tell you about the week that I have had. So I got ill, which put me very much behind on my very tight Met Gala dress schedule, and then my very first day getting back to work on it. Do you want to know what happened? Do you want to know what happened? My sewing machine broke. Let me tell you, I was speaking fluent sailor that day. But it's fine, we're getting back on track now. I would like to introduce you all to my new machine. It's plugged in. I call him Bilbo after the Hobbit because whilst he isn't as good as the original, he still gets the job done. Plus, he's also smaller than my old machine, so I'm getting used to him. He's okay. We're learning each other's ways. The point is I'm lucky enough to just have a new machine and get on with it, so it's fine. I'm so stressed. Let me show you what I've been doing with my new machine. I have made the bodice base, and then I will be getting the fashion layer fabric and manually draping, pinning, tacking, then machining this to my foundation that I have built. Unless I'm forgetting anything, I think this is the part where I just get the fabric out and start draping it. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? Yeah, the amount of brain cells I have left for this project, I've barely even started, is not good. I had to run downstairs and get the fabric because the disorganisation is getting real. I need space. Back in the corner, you can go outside. That's good news. Every time I lift up the new sewing machine, it's a lot lighter than the old one, and I keep like almost just yeeting it across the room. Okay, there's no real plan here. I'm just hoping if I wing it, this will work. I'm also hoping I can get this done one piece of fabric, which might be really stupid, but so then want to find out if your idea is stupid or not. Let's get to work. When did the height of this get so low? How have I only just noticed that? It'll be fine, it'll be fine, it'll be fine, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Committing now. Right now, it kind of looks like a football t-shirt, doesn't it? I've roughly pinned it in place, and from here I'm going to roughly cut it to the shape of the bodice, and then we're going to make it look all pretty afterwards, but I need to start getting rid of some of this excess fabric.
was a plan.
This is how the back will roughly look, and this will be the panel that hooks on at the side, so this will open up and then you'll be able to see the lace bit in the middle. I am really happy that that actually worked because I got concerned partway through that. I look like a Tom and Jerry character right now, don't I? Hi. She's pinned in place. I need to try and tack her down so that I can take it off the mannequin and then get it through the machine so it will really hold all in place. And I might get the iron out as well, just to kind of like steam it and just press it a bit in place as well before I take it off too. Do it. Ow. You know, I don't even think it's possible for me to do a project and not injure myself. I think we just have to accept it's part of the process. Is that bleeding? I had to pull that back out because I put it through my finger. No blood was shed, surprisingly. It literally just went through my skin. And I didn't realise until I was pulling out the other side of the dress. Oh, that felt weird. Okay, it's fine, let's not do that again. And you guys thought I was bad with gluing my fingers to things. I finished tacking the fabric in place and then took the bodice over to the machine. Yet again, I encountered technical difficulties. I don't even know what was wrong with it or what I did to fix it, but at some point it started to stitch normally again, and I put some stitch lines in either side of the bodice and on the back panel as well. I then attempted to iron some of the folds in place, but with this kind of fabric it didn't really work.
Seriously, don't do this at home. I'm like the queen of botchery.
I'm kind of rooting for it to get golf ball sized. I've always wanted to see golf ball sized tail. Back to work.
Getting back to it, I hand stitched in a waistband for the skirt and then got it back on the mannequin so I could finally sort out the shape of the train. I then spent the rest of the night stitching in the hemline. Good morning all. I was up so very late last night having the skirt, but I am very happy to report that the entire base of the dress is now complete. As like a little reward for myself last night after a very long day of hand sewing and then doing all the hemming of the skirt, which is like miles long. My friend who lives in Texas sent me some pictures of their baby bunnies and baby lambs, and it was my little reward to look at those pictures at the end of the day, and they are so cute. And that kind of cuteness just cannot be kept to oneself. So here are some pictures of some baby bunnies and some baby lambs. They're just so gosh darn precious. First thing we're going to do today is we're going to get the skirt back onto the mannequin, and we're going to start adding the lace to the bottom of it. The lace that I've got, I have 3 meters of this really beautiful blue-green kind of lace fabric. I don't actually know what the actual circumference is, but I have been slightly afraid that I'm going to run out of lace. And also I need some left over for like the sleeves on the bodice and stuff as well. There's a chance I might have to order another meter or so. We will find that out today. And my motivation to get through today's heavy workload. This morning, my wigs have arrived for a future project that I have coming up, and I am so excited to do this project, and opening that wig will be my little present to me at the end of the day. Haven't decided if I'm going to share it with you all yet because it is instantly recognisable and you will definitely know what I'm doing if I show you. Basically like that, but all the way around. I just need to figure out what kind of height. I don't necessarily want it to be even height. I kind of wanted some bits to be like higher and lower. Gonna look at it from a distance. Okay, Okay, yeah, I like that. So 10 inches is the highest I want it to come up. I decided to only use the edges of the fabric for this, as they had this really cool brown scalloped design to them. I then spent a very long time cutting around the lace patterns. I made the mistake of sitting under a blanket while I cut the lace, and now I don't want to get up. But I did, and I used the skirt as my blanket instead. At this point, I was only pinning the lace on so I could see if I was happy with the height and shape of it before committing to sewing. I've only pinned the front on, but I am obsessed with it. It's gonna look so pretty! Oh. Hey gang. Well, as you can see, the dress is starting to look like an actual dress now, so that's good, that's progress. She has been a real labour, this one. I spent yesterday hand stitching all of the lace along the bottom. I am 80 centimetres short on that, so I've ordered another metre and I'm waiting for that to arrive, so I will patch up that gap. Today we're moving on to the actual more embellishments of the skirt. You know, white work. It's a type of embroidery, and sometimes within white work people do like cutouts and lace and stuff. I kind of really got hooked on that, and again it was used quite a lot in Edwardian stuff, in mainly undergarments and stuff, but sometimes in blouses and whatever. Whilst I've never really seen any examples of it being used on an evening gown, I really like it, so I'm going to use it. I feel like it really feeds into the theme as well. So the theme is Sleeping Beauties. It's all about couture, basically work of art dresses that are decaying over time. They get more and more fragile as time goes on. I really thought that the cutout idea was a good way to have that. The dress decaying, it's falling apart, there are holes in it and stuff. And then when I've got the moths on it as well, it feeds into that it's being eaten by the moths. And it was this whole concept. So I'm going to have a go at doing some of those. I'm going to use the same lace that I'm using on the bottom of the dress to go in those cutouts. And I've bought silvery embroidery threads which match the dress. Going around those, I'm then going to start doing the ribbon embroidery work, little flowers, little cocoons, vines and leaves and stuff, overtaking of nature as things decay kind of deal. For which I have, for context, I bought this massive box of ribbons off eBay. I got so many good ones in this box, it was well worth 30 quid. I've picked out colours that I think can work for this dress. I don't entirely know what designs I'm doing yet. I'm basically going to improvise that one as I go once I've got the cutouts in place, but that will be upcoming. If I throw these, will they roll everywhere? Yeah. It was fine. Another core idea of the cutouts was that it's going to reveal what's underneath as well. So I've strategically drawn some where by having a lace cutout in that area, it will show the pin tucks of the petticoat underneath. And then the same, I'm going to try and do one on the bodice. It's strategically placed to show off some of the stitching and the detail on the corset underneath. So let's get to work. Loosely pinned on little patches of lace where the cutouts will actually go, because I've got the markings underneath that. The next stage is to actually tack these down into the actual shape I want them to be, and then to go over that with the hand embroidery. But hopefully it will look good when it is all done. I have a long day ahead of me. Howdy and hello. Days have passed once again. I have embroidered all of my little cutouts throughout the dress in the various locations. It was a lengthy process. The first one is very noticeably far significantly worse than all of the other ones. And I've actually made a start on the ribbon embroidery. It definitely took some trial and error. I had a lot of issues with actually getting the needle and ribbon through the fabric. I just could not get it through. The method I have found that works is I have that stabby metal thing that I stole from DT in school, and I used it when I was making the corset. And I'm essentially doing the same thing here. I'm just like pre-making the holes and then threading the ribbon through the holes rather than making the holes with the needle. So That method has been working for me. I have started on the back because I start everything I don't know how to do on the back because it's back. I've started just adding the silver ribbon embroidery flowers onto it. I like these because they're a similar colour to the fabric, so they just kind of add like a nice little textural feel to the skirt. I'm then going to go in, once I've finished doing all these flowers, and add in vines and leaves, and then after I've done all that, that'll be all the basic blocking colours. I'm definitely feeling the time constraints. We did some location scouting yesterday. I don't know where I want to shoot it. I just need to pray for the weather to actually be good come Wednesday so I can do that. I'm still waiting on the rest of my lace to arrive so I can actually finish up the bare patch on the skirt. Tons and tons of ribbon embroidery to do. After that, the skirt will be pretty much finished, and then I've got a bunch of detail work to do on the bodice, including adding the sleeves, which I am putting off because I don't entirely know how I'm going to do that yet. Then we will be finishing up, which is insane to say. This has been such a ridiculously big project, and so very much has been challenging with it. Anyway, I don't have time to keep sitting here and talking. I need to get back to ribbon embroidery. Ribbon embroidery is so gosh darn satisfying, I recommend it to everybody to try. The techniques I used are pretty much the most basic ways of doing it, as I had such a large area to cover with very little time. I definitely want to revisit this technique and try some more advanced styles in the future, but for now, the simple flowers, vines and leaves made such a visual difference to the dress, and were a good way to dip my toe in the water of the world of ribbon embroidery. It does, however, still take a very long time, especially covering a dress this big. My fingers were so sore by the end of it. I had to share this with you. I am about to stitch my last leaf, and then the skirt is done after 4 days of being sat in this spot from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep like a little goblin. My sanity is in very short supply right now. She's done. Now I need to start the bodice. At this point, I have very little memory of what I have and have not actually filmed. I said I've been in this hyper-focused crunching state for 4 days now. I can tell you now that I am shooting this tomorrow, and it is nowhere near done yet. The embellishments in the skirt are now finished. I still need to patch up that bit of lace along the bottom. The lace that I ordered arrived about an hour ago, so I'm going to do that this evening. Right now I need to move on to the bodice because it currently has absolutely no embellishments on it whatsoever. And then add the sleeves. And then I need to make the moths. Okay. Bodice. I can do this. I can do this. I'm so close. I can do this. I've marked out with pins roughly where I want my little cutout to go. I'm then gonna have some loose like flowers and vines kind of going around that. Then at the top where these pins are is where the applique is going to go, and then I'll put the sleeves on later. Hopefully this will not take all that long, although it will be a little bit difficult because there's boning in this bodice, so I cannot put it into an embroidery hoop to do the embellishments. Wish me luck! I just cut out the section of the bodice and I'm about to start some hand stitching, and I thought I would turn on some music just to help motivate me because I'm getting really run down, and this is the first song that my recommended songs puts on for me. Okay?
I step out my door and I take a deep breath, turn back inside and pray for my death, 'cause everyone is hiding.
Anyway, I should get back to it. Just thought I'd check. This is how we're currently looking. I've got a little cutout in the bodice that shows off a little bit of the corset, although granted not very well. I'm now gonna hand stitch on the applique on the front, and then I'm gonna quickly add on some sleeves on the sides. And then Dan is currently on his way home. The second that he walks through the door, I am putting him onto cutting duty. He's gonna sit and cut out the lace for me that I need to patch up the bottom of the skirt with. Whilst he's doing that, I'm also gonna be doing the moths. And then I will be staying up pretty much all night to stitch the lace onto the skirt, add the moths on, and then any other little random bits that I've missed that still need doing. I also still need to do some of the ribbon embroidery on the front of the bodice too, which I'm also gonna do. Okay, it has just gone 1800 hours, so basically I'm running out of time. Let's crack on. There you're some. You ready to do some lace cutting?
Ready for a cup of tea?
Whilst Dan got his cup of tea, I finished stitching on the applique. A little fun fact about Dan, he has a real natural talent for costume design. He's so unbelievably good at it, and he's always helping me develop ideas in sewing projects.
Have a little bit of a swirl with the leaf here, and then just sort of come down like that.
Moving on to the sleeves, I was going to be really basic and just drape a piece of lace, but Dan came up with this layered wing-like design that was really complex to carry out, but far better than what I was going to do, so I'm so glad I put in the extra work.
It's a bit difficult to tell when it's just dragging on out and being like,
Well, we're not going to see it on until we can bloody shoot.
I'll be stressed with the preparation.
How do you think I feel? I've never actually tried this bodice on. For all I know, the armholes are too small. That thought has been keeping me up at night for like a week.
Oh no.
All part of the fun. Finally, it was time to raid the silver fabric drawer for some moth materials. At this point, I was very stressed out trying to make the sleeves and finish the ribbon embroidery on the bodice, so Dan very kindly volunteered to be my mothman. And I'm so glad he did, because he did such a good job and they came out adorable, and he even made some cute little cocoons too. Which brings us to the end of the project. Oh my lord, that was a cold shoot. It was 5 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold. It was so cold. It has been a very intense month for me making this project. It was a tiny bit cursed. A lot went wrong, and I am exhausted. But I am so beyond, don't even have words because I don't have brain cells left to come up with words. Very happy with it. This was a dress I designed about 5 months ago, and I can't believe I was actually able to do it. I'm so happy. So deliriously tired and burnt out, but very happy about it. It was a real labour of love, but I'm obsessed with her. I couldn't wear it properly during the shoot because my stomach was actually killing me, so I didn't do the corset up properly. I left it kind of loose. Some are where the dress might look slightly off in some shots, and that is why. Like I said, tons of bad luck in this project. It was so cursed. Thank you so much for watching along, and I really hope you enjoyed this video and this project. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see some more of my projects. Just as a little taster for some of the projects that I have coming up, I am gonna basically kill myself to squeeze in a quick Bridgerton project before that is released, because I just love to be burnt out, apparently. More towards summer when the weather actually warms up a bit, so I can do some proper shoots where I'm not freezing to death. I do have another live action Disney princess design that I've made, again leaning more towards the historical side of things. I have bought the wig for it. It is the one that I mentioned earlier in the video. I've decided not to show it to you because I'm mean, and I'm kind of wondering if anybody can guess it, so guess away. I'm gonna go and sleep for like 5 minutes and then get on with the edit because I'm kind of behind. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Sun, could you be consistent, please? I'm trying to work here.